Hello and welcome. This is exclusive interview on AD4 TV radio. I am Tunde Hassan. Nigeria, the world's biggest black nation and Africa's largest economy, is currently facing risks of multiple dimensions and on multiple fronts. Our guest on exclusive interview is a specialist in emergency and risk alert. He joins us shortly to engage, dissect, and analyze the issues at stake against the background of fears that Nigeria is at a tipping point. Stay with us.
Nigeria is currently grappling with a myriad of situations that seem to be pushing the nation to a tipping point. A range of citizens-induced agitation and other existential occurrences like COVID-19 pandemic are driving increased advocacies to scale up appropriate responses to tackle emerging risks and emergencies. In 2012, Nigeria was reported by the United Nations Relief Agency as having the worst records of risk management and disaster control in sub-Saharan Africa. There is a huge risk associated with quick response to emergencies that may lead to negative consequences. In 1999, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA was established by the Nigerian government and saddled with the responsibility of managing emergencies. Working with the Risks and Emergency Management Institute, to coordinate resources towards effective and efficient disaster prevention, preparedness, and mitigation in Nigeria, with the goal of handling emergency situations that may put the nation at risk. In other countries like the USA, emergency alert system is used as a national public warning system that allows the president to address the American people within 10 minutes during a national emergency. The alerts are sent through broadcasters, signal digital audio services, direct broadcast satellite providers, cable television systems, and wireless cable. During emergencies, official response agencies provide the public with life-saving information quickly. Emergency notification systems are used to send out mass alerts as part of an emergency communication plan. These may be through SMS, emails, phone calls, broadcast through siren, speakers, or television. In some situations, the notifications are automatically triggered by simulated events such as extreme weather or region-related emergencies. In Nigeria, emergency communication centers have also come on stream in 19 states of the Federation in this regard. However, it is to be noted that risks and emergencies go beyond natural disasters and domestic or traffic situations. There are also political, social, and security situations that could lead to breaches or breakdown of law and order and threaten national interests, like the activities of armed non-state actors, ethnic militias, civil unrest that portend threats to public safety, as well as abductions and banditry that can lead to anarchy.
Exclusive interview on AD4 TV radio. I have with me as our guest the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert Initiative in the person of Mr. Olajuipe Benro. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure being with you.
This is an issue a terrain you're very familiar with, emergencies and risks. Bring us up to speed with what you've observed as being the risk or emergency situations in the country.
Yeah,
is Nigeria at a tipping point?
Well, without going back to the fact that it's a foundational contextual issues in terms of how Nigeria have refused over years to build a national community where people surrender themselves to one citizenship or a common citizenship. So it has been, it's an historical problem. And of course, this has been amplified by excessive inequality, poverty, pervasive, and of course, uneven development. I'm talking of both lateral and horizontal development in the sense of individual to individual and people to people, block to block, ethnic block to ethnic block, since we have failed in the duty to allow a national community to emerge, that we accommodate our citizenship and that we promote national integration. I haven't failed at that. We have continued to manage the problem from 1960.
The frugalities.
Yeah, we have been doing that, but it has not gotten to this level. But of course, it's a matter of you don't need a prophet to tell you that the situation of Nigeria is likely to get to this point.
Because okay, as you speak, yes, I was just coming to the specifics. What are the dimensions of these risks that we're facing?
Well,
the specifics.
Risk, vulnerability in terms of geographical vulnerability, wherever, depending on where you are in Nigeria today. You cannot say you are safe, but you can just look at the level of your risk. Is what you can. Maybe you are in Lagos, even though you are not safe, you will classify yourself as somebody that is on type maybe something like type 1 risk. Why somebody in Maiduguri may say is type 4 risk and all those type of things. So we are differently vulnerable, and the issue is that we have been put at this arm's length too by the failure of diversity management. In fact, that is the huge thing, and that has come up very, it has been critical in the last 6 years.
Diversity management.
In fact, it's not a reflection of Nigeria. You feel shortchanged, and Nigeria feel that they are not accommodated, and this has affected inclusivity in governance. In government, inclusiveness is not there, and all over the world, that is the response you get where people have sense of perceived injustices, that they are not included. Social inclusion is not a matter you just toy with. Social inclusion means that you respect the diversity of that entity, Nigeria entity. Of course, you have a diversity which should connote to religious beliefs, that should connote to ethnic beliefs, in order to be able to competently manage this. But when you begin to have emergence of monolithic managed institution, agencies, particularly security agencies, of course, people have to reflect back. Am I a citizen in this country? When you begin to question your citizenship, then a majority of Nigerians are doing that today. Then there is problem. And why are people questioning their citizenship? There are no equal access to opportunities. It doesn't matter whether the opportunity is education. It doesn't matter whether it's employment or whatever distribution of resources. It's not they are not equitably done. And these have been the practices, particularly, it's not, of course, other past administration, they do that, but not as significant as what we are witnessing today.
Okay,
and the fallout has put everybody at risk.
Okay, let me you this is your terrain, as I said earlier. As is being suggested, is Nigeria truly at a tipping point?
Well, you don't even need a prophet to do that. Every indicators and indices are there for you. Nigeria has just been ranked at the third poorest governed country in the world. 1 position out of 124 countries sampled for that study. And it's
Third from
equally
the
wrong.
bottom. Third from the bottom.
Yes, from the global terrorism index too, it's ranked as the third most terrorized country in the world. And of course, recently, if you see Mo Ibrahim report, it's almost a helpless case when you look at the position of Nigeria in all these things. These are the contending forces that have affected the country, that have affected the people. And to worsen the case, economic emasculation of citizenship has expanded the terrain of poverty. And today, as a matter of fact, there is what I can call maybe Nigerianization of poverty. We wear the face of poverty, and where that exists, there will be friction. And where that, of course, people are decimated. When you are poor, you are decimated. You can't obtain basic needs and necessity. There is a little premium you will place on your life. And when citizens get to a level where they continue to put very low premium on their own life, they will not value other people's life. And look, the type of my fear today is not even that there is crisis, that there is conflict. It is the intensity of terror affliction, portraying absolute inhumanity, portraying, of course, getting to a level that most actors are becoming extremely animalized, and the monsters have emerged. Whether it's in the northeast, you look at it. Whether
We
it's
have
in the
today
southwest,
heavily
the southeast,
armed groups and individuals.
heavily armed group that have rendered state impotence. Ordinarily, what we envisage when you leave the state of nature is that the state will have monopoly of violence. And the state have monopoly of violence in order to be able to regulate society. And when state have monopoly of violence, it's not given that the state should be using the violence against the citizen. And democracy open a better space that even government should continue to appreciate that even though I am a giant, I don't need to act like a giant.
I hold the monopoly of repression, but I do not exercise it with impunity.
That means that you must create atmosphere for dialogue. People are, even within family, there are contentions and people get agitated. It's the responsibility to create a table where people will meet. Somebody called himself that, okay, we are hip-hop. We are not, you didn't engage them. They are becoming little by little violent. You didn't. They
get more radicalized. Yes,
they get more radicalized. Repression is the most injustice you can do to any human being that believe that ab initio he was oppressed.
Let me,
and now you are not
raised that. Yeah. Are you, as an expert in this field, are you satisfied? Is there the response, the state response to all these issues emerging? Is it sufficient? Are you satisfied with the response of the state?
It's very appalling.
That's
it's very appalling.
And the situations that we are faced with, are they peculiar? The dimensions of the risks, are they peculiar to Nigeria?
Well, you can make anything peculiar. You can have your own brand of your own brand of tragedy, and tragedy can even be homegrown. Our own now is becoming homegrown tragedy. Of course, it's peculiar now. Peculiar in the sense that there are terrorism everywhere. For example, in America, aside from the knife and the gun they are having problem with, most of the group that have emerged to attack America, they are external. In most cases, they are like that. They are not your citizen launching attack on a society they feel that have denied them justice.
Battlefield on home ground.
On home ground. So you lose head or tail as a government. That is the doldrum we have found ourselves. And let me equally state that the response to all this, as you have asked, they are not contest driven. When response is not contest driven, you can't get it right. I've just told us that, look, it's not every fly, you don't even kill, do you need to kill fly with hammer? But of course, unfortunately, so here, if the only instrument you have is hammer, they say you're trying to treat everything as nail. And that is what we have found ourselves. If you understand the context of Nigeria, you will have created opportunity for people to express themselves. Of course, that is the essence of democracy. In fact, the fact that somebody say that I am not a Nigerian, you can convince him. You don't need to. No, you are. Why are you not Nigerian? Do you get it now? You don't let it get to this level. And we have our own is that we are poor students of history. Those in position of authority. If you look at the trend, it's the same thing that created Boko Haram. Boko Haram was manageable in around 2011 at the initial stage. But because of repression, because of impunity, somebody, you extrajudicially kill somebody that you could ordinarily bring on board. There is no place you don't have dissidents. There is no nation that you don't have those who have formed a subculture to resist the dominant culture that they feel that is repressive, that they feel that is subjugating them. It's the responsibility of the state that have monopoly of violence to ensure that, look, I will defend this boundary with the violence, but I will accommodate my people so that I don't get to the level of unleashing violence on my own people. Okay. That means dialogue must be brought in. That means arbitration must be there. Because this thing, whether you like it, it calls with the humiliation of one person too. When, for example, if you look, you write JAMB now, because there are certain things that go on that, if not well explained, is going to lead to violence. You want to question, your child is asking you, Daddy, why did I score 270? I'm not admitted. And somebody score 180, is admitted from other part of the country. These are issues we need to bring to table and review. No country can exist like that forever. There must be open and transparent governance, accountable governance, responsible and responsive governance. If you don't have it, you can't have peace. Okay. And it's going to, that will now begin to define your risk factors.
Okay. Well, we have been engaging with the Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert Initiative, Mr. Benro Olajuibe. We've been looking at all the risk factors in Nigeria, and that has brought the Nigerian state to a very dangerous state, so to speak. Options have been put on the table. We'll come back to continue to engage and dissect these issues on Exclusive Interview.
There's a wind of change blowing over Nigeria, and it's coming from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. If you want to find out how TED Fund is bringing the Nigerian government, industry, and the academia together to drive a new knowledge economy, tune in to this station every Wednesday at 8 p.m. for TED Fund, the paradigm shift. It's informative, it's innovative, and it's exciting. TED Fund, the paradigm shift. Proudly produced by 84 TV Radio.
You're welcome back. Exclusive interview reaching you on the platform of 84 TV Radio. And I still have with me Mr. Benro Olajuibe, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert Initiative. Thank you very much for being on the platform.
Thank you.
Yeah, before we took that break, we were talking about dialogue or no dialogue. There have been issues around that too. What are, in terms of balancing out, repressive, hard, jackbooked action by the state or engaging in dialogue? Is this something, is it an either or situation, or can we balance out?
One must come before the other. There must be consultation. And consultation means that you have to look at all the perspectives and all shades of opinion before you do things. And that is the definition of inclusion. When you are able to do that, not that you will sit somewhere as a president or as anybody in position of authority and you say the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable. Armed robber is already negotiating it. Terrorists are negotiating it. Those that are against Nigeria are already negotiating it.
The enemies of state.
The enemies of, no, I don't call people enemies of state in one reason. Because they don't become enemies until the state become responsive and responsible, equitable and just. So you can't call, the state can even be the enemy of the people. That is for another day. So that definition, that connotes to what you call national security. What Nigeria needs now is to look at the angle of human security. Massive unemployment, how do you engage that? Youth, 5 years, 10 years, no job, and you are not planning, you are not anything. What you tell them is that they should go to farm and everything, while your own children are put into a position of authority in juicy agencies and parastatals. And when you have that, these are drivers of violence. When they can see, they can read, this is a village. The word is a village. So what you do is out already. So people know this. And I've said it all the time. It is not actually poverty that drive conflict. It's not actually poverty. It's when you have situation of unjust wealth and unjust poverty. Poverty that is not, you never even give him opportunity in the first place. There was poverty in Tanzania during Nyerere. Massive one, but they could see the honesty, they could see the transparency, they could see that people, of course, the length you go will be determined by your own. You
so
put
even whatever you do, whether you take strong state action or you placate those elements.
It's a deliberate action. It's not even placate, because you have to build it. There are levels of this dialogue, national dialogue. That's why I'm saying that
has been touted.
The non-state actors are already negotiating that violently and repulsively. But then, what the federal government can do, because this thing is beyond the state now, because it's everywhere. What we are dealing with currently is fluid violence
and
that does not discriminate.
Okay.
It doesn't have specific target. It targets institution. It targets human persons, whether rich, whether poor. Though the rich are still hard target now, but then it will get to a level where it could consume everybody. So it's not about,
situation. Even the poor people are the soft targets now.
Yeah, that is the most tragic thing. And I have described it, the type of terrorism that we have in Nigeria. It's a right-wing terrorism. It's not left-wing. It's a right-wing, a species, violent, a species destroying its own. You feel that you have been shortchanged from society. You don't have access to, you became terrorists. And you are killing the same people who did not contribute to the atmosphere that created you, targeting the wrong person. That means that it's the poor that have the belief that I can equally acquire power to suppress and oppress others. So it's not driven by, I can't see any reasonable ideology that is driving it. So that is why it's extremely infernal, extremely even unjust within the context of these non-state actors against others that are victims of the state themselves.
As a person who has digged into this issue, I mean, who has dug in, let me put it that way, what options do you see? And who should take responsibility for executing these options?
Look,
to resolve the problem.
Yes, we now is we are planning we are already in the battle. So we have lost the opportunity of building what I've called national community that can make people we have crossed that one now. But then all hope is not lost. What we can quickly do now is that one, it has to be both military and non-military, because protection is what we are facing is an existential issue. Protection is essential, and more important now, you have to look at the issue of those that are vulnerable and those that are in dire need of rescue, dire need of relief, dire need of recovery, even the dead that needs to be recovered, because that is what send the message of your humanity. You don't just count number that 50 people are killing. Who are these people? They must have name. What that does is that it is a process of accountability. Look, you can 91 people were buried in Zamfara. You have all their name. You can continue to challenge the governor. You kill this person because of your bad governance. You kill this person because of your bad. But we are dealing with number because we feel that they are not.
Put a face, put a life to those numbers.
Yes. So we have to bring that one back. Secondly, you have to, at least, even though you have failed to do that ab initio, you can't run away from dialogue. Whether you call it national conference, national distance. Because even if there is a war and you fight war, you have to come back. Whether that is a definitum, is given. So you can't run away from that issue that people must come. And nobody will do that beyond President Buhari. Imagine if President Buhari can, earlier when this IPOP issue, he even moved from Abuja. In order for the first consultation, President moves about. And that is the connection. That is how you build connection. That is how you send the message of humanity. That is how you send the message that they are not alone. That you are here to solve problem and not to sit down as a monarch. So you imagine if you had gone to, I want to meet you, not even in Abuja, in Enugu. You have the capacity, the military support and everything, even the risk. Your risk is not as high as our own. It's only God that is just helping us. But you are not as exposed as our own, and that's why we have donated all our rights and our rights, part of our right to you to govern on our behalf. So you go there, you mobilize these people, and you attempt to build them around national consensus. It means the first step. The word of a leader matters most. The moment he came to power and you ask question that you are saying that how can you bring in those who did not vote for you? That 5% and 95% ratio issue that came up at the threshold of his administration was a very disastrous leadership statement. Because a leader's sin is a leading sin. So you must be conscious of that. Now you have lost that opportunity, but you can recapture if you do this. Now begin to look at it from other areas. Boko Haram, we have lost them, but then military, the choice of where you will now begin to use military option, absolute military option, you can now do that. And where you are dialoguing is everything. But when you are opening battlegrounds in all areas, this one speak. I don't agree with Kini. I want to do a republic instead of engaging them.
Okay, now
you want to repress.
Yes, we're looking at full-scale engagement and negotiated settlement. Which one offers the best option to the fastest resolution? It
has to be two. It depends on the context. Everything dynamic context emerges. The conflict, violent emerges. It depends on the context, on the dynamics of the context. That's why I laugh at Arufai when he said that he's not going to negotiate. Negotiation does not mean go and give them money. And we are missing up a lot of things. If you don't understand those who know professionally are grounded on this issue, invite them. Not that you will see, who is asking you to go and give them money in the first place. What they lack, of course, it could be that nobody recognizes them in society. But they see themselves as an outcast, and they are formed on their own subculture against the king. So imagine somebody's child who you have failed to protect is kidnapped and dying in the forest. Some of them has been shot, and you open your mouth when the violence was still on, when they are in custody of actor, that you are not going to negotiate. Even if you don't want to negotiate, does it make sense for you to say it out? Putting them, pushing them into hole of vulnerability further. You don't need to say it. Now, what you do, the failure came from you, failure of protection. People didn't send their children to go and get kidnapped. You didn't protect. Now, you cannot be the same person who will be making option of what you will do in order to rescue them. Because you have failed. You collect security vote, you collect this, but you can't rescue them. They kidnap them. You don't have mouth to say that you are not going to negotiate.
Okay.
You must bring them out anyhow, anywhere, because their life is important. And why that is important is this. What do you think will be going on in the heart of those children that are still there now? That they will come back and be patriotic? That their parents who have lost children now will ask their children to be patriotic to Nigeria? Is that what you are thinking of? All these things are beyond what we understand. Look, when you are looking at risk, even when you are reducing the risk and everything, it is not enough for you to say that, oh, okay, I have reduced risk substantially. Even the solution you are offering have further consequences.
Okay.
Consequences management.
Consequence
management is essential, okay, even more than reduction of risk.
Okay. Now, as a final question, here we have a nation, Nigeria. I mean, I've heard it said, usually when you confront such monumental risk, it's against elements from outside. Here we have a nation that is at war with itself.
Yeah.
Some people are asking for a declaration of a state of emergency. Have we got to that point? Is a state of emergency an option at the present time? And what will it achieve?
Are you going to dictate declare state of emergency on the states that are helpless, that they don't control security apparatus, or the federal government that controls it? Those are the issue. It's not about when you have not declared. Tell us your books. There is problem all over. You can only say that if you are having, it's the rule, it's not the exception. Violence is the rule in Nigeria now, it's not the exception. You declare state of emergency where it is an exception. That is, these people has become recalcitrant and almost unmanageable. That is where you can do that. But you have a control factor to show, like they do in laboratory. 35 states is in order, or 34 is in order, and 2 are not in order. Then you can be thinking of
tangible
state of emergency.
Control factors.
Yes, that means that you are in control. That is telling you. But all states are falling apart. That is why I said it's a fluid this thing. When you say you declare a state of emergency, how are you going to guide it? How are you going to manage it? Even within the context of democracy, within the context of constitutional democracy, how are you going to manage it? And beyond that, where is the failure flowing from? Is it flowing from the one you are declaring emergency, or the teacher that is saying that 2 + 2 is 17? A student is saying that 2 + 2 is 5, and teacher is saying it's 17, and the teacher now takes and is beating the one that is even nearer to the answer. Why ignoring his own error? So it's a game that we have to look at, and the president have been told if there is need for us to get foreign help,
yes,
we must get it.
Yes, it's already said. Is it okay?
He didn't.
In
fact, he lost that opportunity with the Secretary of State yesterday.
Yes,
that AFRICOM should come.
Yes,
that is not.
AFRICOM should be relocated to Nigeria.
Today is a strategic policy of United States. You can't change that. In fact, that AFRICOM was to. I don't need to go to. Time is too short to go to the history of AFRICOM. Why it was rejected in Africa in those days when we have relative peace. But what the president, I was expecting from the president, we didn't elect you to become president of Africa. You are giving African countries. What is happening in Sahel? What is happening? Is that your problem? Your problem is what is happening in Nigeria, and you portray it to the secretary, and you are now going to tell the Secretary of State of United States that because of what following our discussion, I'm going to deploy the Minister of Foreign Affairs to follow up on the type of help. Why I plan on how to meet with the United States President later on. That is how to negotiate and get result, and not be. That one was nebulous. it was a nebulous submission. When is America? America now will now review his strategy of where I bring his monitoring gadgets, because you have said it. It doesn't happen, and it's a long time thing, even if it's going to happen, and it has to come from America and not from external president.
Well, thank you very much, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert Initiative, Mr. Benro Olajuibe. We really appreciate this insight you've given into the enormous risk and emergencies that Nigeria is currently confronted with. Hoping that we find a way to unravel and wriggle out of this tight situation. Thank you once
I
more.
hope so. Thank you very much.
That's been exclusive interview on AD4 TV Radio. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thanks for being with us.